We have some breaking news now this afternoon from the live desk. The AP and New York Times are both reporting that the IRS is preparing to cut about half of its workforce. This news, of course, hitting right in the middle of tax season. The White House and IRS have not responded to the latest reports yet. Now, these layoffs are part of the Trump administration and Elon Musk's efforts to shrink the size of the federal government and make it more efficient. The IRS employs around 90,000 people already. 7,000 probationary employees were laid off in February. And these new workforce reduction plans are supposed to be presented to the White House by March 13th. Julie?
All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Call on your lie, how about Shemel Sharp, Hashem Krakadash, double arms to the apostle, Elsewhere, Millstone, peace, citation, hopeful light. And this lesson is going to be about the IRS layoffs, as you can see from the first video. It is insane, man. Like, IRS is laying off like over 50% of their workforce, and that's crazy, you know, because that's a federal job we're talking about, and usually when it's coming to federal jobs, they get good pension, they got good benefits, and the whole nine, you know. Also getting paid, you know, good guap as well. But you see, and it really goes to show you that, you know, I feel like the reason why they're being laid off is because a lot of the workforce is being replaced by AI, and they don't need as much people as they once did, since AI is such a booming field now. You know, now you have it to where AI could do, you know, like so much task, multitask, and even streamline the workflow progress and automate the operations within the workforce. And this pretty much is like going to be a turning point in a lot of layoffs, because they don't need as much workers as they once did, you know, before this whole AI shit. Now you have it to where, you know, they need a decent amount of people to do certain tasks. Now they could just lay off a decent amount of workers because it is AI shit. That's such a booming, you know, field now. And you see, that's another reason why, like, you know, when you're skilled in a particular talent, and let's say when you're working or so, you're skilled in a particular you know, industry or so, you shouldn't really stay limited to that one skill that you have that got you that job. You should pretty much diversify your skills to where now they need you for other particular jobs as well. You know what I mean? Because see, one thing about you being limited to like one job, you're gonna have to go through the whole unemployment process when you get laid off or you get fired and shit, and then now it's harder for you to get another job. You know, that's why it's really good to try to, you know, invest in your knowledge and even your skill set and doing different things. But other than that, getting into this article, it says the IRS is drafting plans to cut as much as half of its 90,000 person workforce, AP sources says. And this is about APnews.com by Fatima Hussein, 6:50 p.m. on March 4th, 2025. It says, Washington AP, the IRS is drafting plans to cut its workforce by as much as half through a mix of layoffs, attrition, and incentivized buyouts, according to two people familiar with the situation. The people spoke Tuesday on a condition of anonymity because they weren't authorized to disclose the plans. The layoffs are part of the Trump administration efforts to shrink the size of the federal workforce through billionaire Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency by closing agencies, laying off nearly all probationary employees who have not yet gained civil service protection, and offering buyouts to almost all federal employees through a deferred resignation program to quickly reduce the government workforce. A reduction in force of tens of thousands of employees would render the IRS dysfunctional, said John Koskinen, a former IRS commissioner. The federal tax collector employs roughly 90,000 workers total across the United States. According to the latest IRS data, people of color make up 56% of the IRS workforce, and women represent 65%. And that statistic alone shows you that how much Jake contributes to this country. For the most part, that 56% of which is people of color, showing you how Jake is more useful than Esau, even when it's coming to corporate level jobs and things of that nature, showing that we're more adequate in actually pushing the system and making America great as it is to this day, which of course America's pretty much going down the drain, and we're at the downfall of this kingdom. It just hasn't hit on a higher level, but you're starting to see shit really happening to the economy and things of that nature. Case in point, like the layoffs that I'm talking about right now. So back to the article. It says already roughly 7,000 probationary IRS employees with roughly 1 year or less of service were laid off from the organization in February. And that's fucked up because they already just started the job and then just getting laid off like that. That's wild. Like I said, usually with jobs like that, it will be hard to pretty much get rid of you, because that's a job for the government. It's almost like has the same protection as a city job, if I'm not mistaken. It probably should have a better protection than the city job. But it shows you that, this is why you shouldn't put your trust into this system, because they just get rid of you and replace you just like that. We'll get back to the article. It says the organization also offered IRS employees, along with almost all federal employees across the government, deferred resignation programs, buyouts through IRS employees involved in the 2025 tax season were told earlier this month that they would not be allowed to accept a buyout offer from the Trump administration until mid-May after the taxpayer filing deadline. In addition to the planned layoffs, the Trump administration intends to lend IRS workers to the Department of Homeland Security to assist with immigration enforcement. In a letter sent in February, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem asked Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to borrow IRS workers to help with ongoing immigration crackdown efforts. Koskinen and 6 other former IRS commissioners wrote in New York Times earlier this month, aggressive reductions in the IRS resources will only render our government less effective and less efficient in collecting the taxes Congress has imposed. According to a White House memo sent to federal agencies in late February, agencies are to develop a report by March 13th on its reduction in force plans, but it's unclear whether the White House will approve the IRS reorganization plan and over what period of time it will be implemented. Representatives for the White House, the Treasury Department, and IRS did not respond to an Associated Press request for comment. The New York Times first reported the deliberations. So without further ado, I'll bring out some scriptures. Lord willing, make this lesson edifying. And let me bring out Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. It says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the door shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets." Right, and that's, even talking about a time where, there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off, and this is happening now. Just did a recent video about Meta laying off programmers, and they're announcing that they're going to start that at the beginning, this year, which the article was like about, if I'm not mistaken, like the last week of February that Mark Zuckerberg made that announcement. And you see people that working for these high level companies thinking that they some shit, thinking that they the biggest shit, thinking that they, got it all, thinking that their life is so easy working for these large firms, They're just getting rid of you people, man. You know? And at the end of the day, they're about maximizing their profits. They don't care about all the hours of committed time that you put to the company. You see? And this is what happens when you put all your trust in this fucking place called Babylon, aka America. This is what happens, you know? And when you invest all your time and energy in this place, you're just forgotten when things go down, or when people are ready to just get rid of you. And since majority of the IRS workers are our people, especially which, if I'm not mistaken, it's at about 65% or so are women. You know, that really shows you right there that a lot of you women is getting laid off from these corporations, and you see they're the first to preach about, you know, feminism and all this shit. They looking out for women and all this nonsense that they claim that they looking out for, that they, you know, have as one of their missions, you know, within the company, is to support the feminist movement and all that bullshit. Well, guess what? All that shit's coming to an end. And you see, the funny thing about Esau is that you stupid ass, not only, you know, our people, but you stupid ass women in general are gonna really understand is that there's duality with this devil Esau, since he likes to play God on the left hand side. He may do something good, and it's only temporary, it's only for a little minute, and he gonna do something good. But at the same time, it's like he has sinister agendas behind, you know, the good shit that he does. And the good shit that he does is just to lure you in, to make you feel like you could trust him, just so that he could sucker punch you out of nowhere and hit you with a devastating attack that you didn't expect. And this is one of the devastating attacks, is that he has his AI to now replace, you know, a lot of employees, you know, and then it's gonna get to the point where y'all gonna have to pick up some new skills. You know, you're gonna have to find some new jobs or so, and unemployment don't pay as much. You know, I'm just saying, like, whatever you was making previously, you're gonna have to put all those liabilities that you was, you know, paying for it monthly, you're gonna have to put that shit on hold, you know, and whatever they give you for unemployment, which ain't gonna be much, you know, they gonna just pay you that weekly. You're gonna have to apply for help and all that shit, you know, and, you know, wait for, you know, trying to get employed for another opportunity. You're gonna have to be on the waiting list for all the other jobs that you applying for, and it ain't easy to find a job like that, like how it once was, you know. And let me see, it says in Isaiah chapter 30 verse 1, it says, "Woe to rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." And that new Pharaoh is, of course, talking about Esau, because, you know, everybody seems to have, let's say, a sort of you know, firm belief in America, and they really look up to the ways of America, and they really look up to this government. And look what the government is doing. They even laying off their federal workers. Shows you how much you can't trust this devil, even if you have a government job at that. And the federal job is supposed to have the utmost protection from all other jobs out there. And it goes to show you, if they really placing in federal workers with AI, laying them off, you know, just how much more these other private companies and even city jobs, for the most part. I mean, for the most part, the only jobs I could see not getting replaced as much is, you know, sales related jobs, or even you know, jobs that deal with like trades, you know, depending on, of course, what trade it is, especially if it's like a usually if it's an internet related trade, like with IT. A lot of times there's more security with IT jobs because they have to regulate the AI, and they have to pretty much monitor it and things of that nature, because AI does have some sort of defects sometimes. They have little defaults in their system. It shows that you shouldn't really be limited to one skill anyway. And it says, verse 4, for his princes were at Zoan and his ambassadors came to Hanes. Verse 5, they were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor being helped nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach. And verse 6, the burden of the beasts of the south into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper and fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. Alright. And verse 7, for the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this, their strength is to sit still. Right. And let's see, when the Most High is ready to put the heat and the pressure upon this bitch Babylon, which is already happening on a minute level, he is just showing you this is pretty much like what Esau does on the regular. He will act like he's gonna create solutions when he's in reality causing a lot of problems, and then when he makes like certain solutions, he wants to play the role of a savior. This is exactly what he's gonna do with the economy. He's gonna crash the economy, right? Cause a whole recession, and how he's gonna bring that back the economy to its feet by having people to accept the MOTB. I just want to elaborate a little bit on verse 7, where it says, for the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose, therefore have I concerned this, the strength to sit still. With that part, it's like when the government tries to offer some help, it's just pretty much a slap to the face. Because when you saw the wildfires that was happening in LA, Biden over here talking about he gonna give like about $700 and some change to the people, to the homeowners, that just a temporary relief, and just imagine what relief they have for people that getting laid off. You see, this is the joke that America is. And then the funny thing is, it's like they really take you stupid ass people for fools. They take y'all for a fool, because you dumbass people, the first thing that y'all dumbasses do, you run on social media, complain and cry like a little bitch about what goes on in your personal lives, right? But before y'all think to yourself, let's try to form, let's say, an alliance, right? Try to link up with the people that got laid off, right? Try to go on social media, try to, let's say, start a sort of a group, mostly on Telegram, trying to connect other people, because Telegram is one of those social media platforms that you could have like 100,000 members in a group, in a channel. And what y'all could also do is like y'all could go on forums as well and try to become members on forums, where there's pretty much unlimited amount of members that could join a forum, and even though it's not really monitored that much, let's say by like the government or so, like some of these deep web firms, it's not really like monitored too crazy like how social media is monitored. Y'all should just go on those platforms, and what y'all should do is basically try to form a certain an alliance, and try to go as far as doing boycotting, or even like when y'all go on these social media platforms or so, mainly like I said, the Telegram, and the even going on, like, let's say online, to pretty much being a member for these firms. Y'all could even just try to push the idea for, sparking a revolution, potentially. You know what I mean? And you see, should be pretty much even going as far as enlightening each other about what goes on in the news and how y'all could pretty much combat against the government. Esau does such a good job in keeping people separated and divided and conquered. He studies you dumb people, and what he does is give you idiots bread and circus, and guess what? Y'all just comfortable being slaves. And of course, they say the word slave is the one that is comfortable, the one that is pretty much given cheap entertainment and doesn't know he's a slave. And you people are perfectly fine with that. And it's gonna have to take it to where you people are gonna have to lose like everything, your home, your car, and so on and so forth, just for you to realize that y'all should have been trying to stick together and remain united amongst each other, and going as far as being on the high alert when it's coming to the government pulling some shit off like this. You know what I'm saying? You got Trump signing so much executive orders, and he not even looking out for his American people. This man is bringing the downfall of America, and he's doing rightfully so, because either way, it's part of prophecy, and this place, of course, has to be destroyed. So if he's gonna be that president to bring about the MOTB, so be it. The sooner it happens, the sooner he tries to mandate that MOTB, the better, because that's the sooner that the deliverance for the elect will be. As they say, the sooner the better. So with that, I'd like to say, call on Allah, Yahweh, Bashem, Yashab, Bashem, Rakakadash, come on to the Apostle Elsgary Millstone. Peace out, teaching, hope for elect. Shalom.